Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky AF. This is Suz, and I'm joined by my co-host Rob.
Hey everyone, hope you're keeping well.
We just want to start off at the top of the 30 minutes, hour, however long this is, to say thank you for all the engagement we've gotten on social media. It's been great so far, and we hope that it keeps up.
Yeah, we actually have like random people following us now, not just like friends and family.
Yeah, it's great. And actually, my cases today are inspired by a suggestion we got from on Instagram.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so I know I said I was going to move away from Texas, but I saw that somebody, and I don't know if they want to share their name, so I won't, but somebody on Instagram said, like, oh, you should check out the Marfa Lights. And I was like, oh, that dug up a deep, deep memory in me of, like, weird ghost lights that occur in Texas. And so I thought today I would cover 3 occurrences of unexplained lights across Texas, stretching from all the way from like 50 miles from the Mexico-U.S. border to the forested areas of East Texas.
I love this already. And I love that we're shilling for our followers straight away, like just straight in there.
Oh yeah, like the minute I saw that, I was like, well, we're gonna do that now because we've gotta keep up our random follower fan base.
There goes the originality right away from us. We're being led by the people.
We give them what they want, and that's important.
Exactly. You know, if anything, we're obliging.
Exactly. So we'll start off with the most famous one, which would be the Marfa Mystery Lights, or MLs, as I've seen them referred to on the interwebs.
Love it.
And why not MMLs? I don't know. But MLs representing Marfa Mystery Lights. So I'll kind of give you, I'm going to set the scene for you a bit, because Marfa's a weird place. Like I said, it's about 50 miles from the border, and it's in deep West Texas. And it's part of it was a ranch town in the area known as El Despoblado, which means the uninhabited. Which tells you how, like, remote this is. They are 200 miles from the nearest airport, and they are a town of less than 2,000 people.
Oh, okay. So just in terms of, like, Texas kind of size, I suppose, would 200 miles from the nearest airport, even for Texas, be quite remote, or would that be kind of standard?
That would be getting remote, because we have a lot of airports in Texas.
Fair, yeah, I suppose.
Like, you can fly to a lot of different regional places in Texas, and so, like, I'm guessing that their, like, closest one would be maybe, like, El Paso or Midland or something, so, like, 200 miles for an airport would be quite a drive, considering that, like, where I'm from, Abilene, has its own airport. To be fair, that airport only flies to Dallas-Fort Worth, but it has its own airport. And less than 2,000 people would be, like, there are smaller places, but this would be, like, for how remote this would be a very small place in the middle of nowhere. So we're already, like, in my mind, Marfa, like, we're deep into desert, and which means, like, UFO country to me.
Oh, I'm, like, as soon as you started talking about lights, I was ready for UFOs, so you have me very interested in this.
Which buckle up, because it's not just UFOs we're dealing with, as you'll find
Brilliant.
out.
Just one last thing about Marfa, just based on how you've described it, I'm assuming that when you get to the outskirts of the town, there's probably a sign that says, like, Marfa population, and then there's, like, a little, like, number that keeps changing.
as people die.
Yeah, 100%. I'd imagine there's probably also bullet holes in the sign of the town.
Well, okay, so see, that's what's interesting. There probably used to be something like that. But ever since, so in the 1970s, because, like, so Marfa started out as this very, like, rural ranching town, right? There was nothing but, like, a few ranches. Well, in the 1970s, an avant-garde artist moved to Marfa and bought out a dilapidated World War II military base or shelter or something like that, and filled it with, like, really avant-garde art pieces, and started, like, dotting around the town these really weird art installations. And one of them, like, for example, and they're kind of creepy in a way. Like, in some ways it's kind of cool because it's like, oh wow, look, this kind of like rural ranch town with all this art. But some of them are a bit creepy. Like, one of them is it's a box, like, you know, like a pop-up shop that would be just like a box kind of building. It says Prada on the front and is filled with faux shoes and handbags, but it's in front of a field that has nothing else around it for miles, and the signs are all kind of sun-bleached. So it looks like just this abandoned Prada shop in the middle of, like, West Texas. where nobody's shopping. So
some fucking hipsters moved in and basically gentrified the area, is what you're saying?
That is literally what I read on, I believe, the Marfa, like, town website. They were like, yeah, the hipsters moved in the 70s, and so now you can find, like, really good steaks, but also, like, some vegan restaurants and, like, some coffee bars and things.
Oh my god. This is literally like that episode of South Park where they're talking about gentrification.
Yes, it is a weird mix of traditional West Texas and like outcasts from Austin. Well, actually, the artist that moved came from New York, which how he got to Marfa from New York City is beyond me.
I suppose it was the 70s, so drugs probably brought him there.
True. So yeah, some kind of vision that
Yeah.
he like cracked his neck and had a flashback, and suddenly he was in Marfa.
Yeah, he got a free trip out of the amount of acid he was taking in the 60s.
Well, actually, you've seen Marfa. If you, at least I'm pretty sure you have, because several famous films have been filmed there.
Oh, okay,
So
interesting.
yeah, so if you've seen No Country for Old Men,
I have. Great film. Banger of a film.
if you've seen There Will Be Blood, Marfa.
I have. Also, banger of a film. So Marfa's got a good track record so far.
Yeah, and this will come in, be important later, but also the 1956 James Dean film Giant was also filmed there, and James Dean will come back into the story in a bit. So it's kind of become this place where its aesthetic is very film-worthy, and yet its vibe is very ranch meets Austin, Texas kind of feel. It's very strange in this pocket in the middle of nowhere.
Ranch meets oat milk.
Yes, it's 100% like steak meets oat milk.
Brilliant. Okay. I know where we are now. I'm completely on board with this.
Let's talk about the phenomenon. So Marfa is known for, and this is according to the Marfa, like the website of the town. It's like, we are best known for the Marfa lights, or Marfa mystery lights. What you do is you take a drive 9 miles east outside of Marfa and park on a widened shoulder of Highway 90. So from there, you are said to be able to catch sight of strange lights or spots of brightness that are reportedly different from car headlights, according to people who have seen them. They're like, no, they're very different, and they say they're not similar to campfires either. They say these lights have appeared as red, yellow, green, blue, white, and they reportedly move in unearthly ways. So they kind of separate and come together and dart and then sometimes just float. They were first spotted by, they have a long history. We were first spotted by Robert Reed Ellison in 1883, I believe, who was a cowhand, who upon seeing them was so scared, he immediately fled to tell the whole town, which is probably his family. Like back then, that was probably, like the Ellisons were probably the only people in Marfa. There were other sightings recorded in 1885, and the phenomena even appears in Cecilia Thompson's book, History of Marfa and Presidio County, Texas, 1535 to 1946, which is a hell of a time span.
Holy shit, that is a long time span.
Yeah, like imagine reading a history book about like England, 1535 to 1946. That would be a tome.
Yeah, no, that's quite a hefty undertaking on her behalf.
Exactly. I was like, I want to read that book, I think. Or at least I want to see it. Back when Robert Reed Ellison saw them, people were like, oh, they must be nearby, like, they were thinking like a nearby Apache fires. They thought they were like, people kind of were against it from the beginning, or at least were skeptical from the beginning.
And you were saying it's what, 1883?
Yep.
Interesting. So this is actually pre-Aurora, which was 1897.
Yes, exactly. And it's very different from the Aurora, because the Aurora was like an event, and this is a repeated occurrence.
Yeah, this seems a little bit more kind of, just from initial hearing, it kind of seems a little bit more like removed, like this is purely going on in the sky so far. Yeah,
absolutely. So like they say you can see them best either just after sunset or just before sunrise. The first published sightings appear in July 1957 in an issue of the Coronet magazine, and the earliest known photo of them is from the late 19th century. So we have like really old photos of them as well. They're not great.
That's so cool.
It is cool, but they're not great.
Yeah, I suppose though, but like at the time, weren't a lot of those kind of like cameras the ones where you had to like stand still for about 4 years so you could get taken?
Yeah, exactly. Like they started taking the photo in 1870 and then it developed in 1890 or something.
Yeah, the photographer is like, you're so fucking inconsiderate, like shouting at the lights for moving around so much.
Like, this is really ruining my whole fucking day.
Yeah, could you just not? I'll have you know that like artists are going to be here in the next 100 years and you're really just ruining the vibe.
Oh yeah. So it's said that the lights range from dull spots to blinding brilliance and that they dart across the desert performing splits and mergers. Yeah, so they're kind of, you kind of already, like, when I first read this and when I first heard about it, because I heard about it as, like, everybody in Texas has kind of heard of these lights. They are what, like, Marfa is kind of known for, and I'll get into, like, the legacy they've had on the city. But there was a viewing recording system actually set up in 2003, and they have reportedly identified an average of 9.4 MLs, which would be Marfa Mystery Lights, on 5.25 nights per year.
Whoa, okay. So actually kind of common enough.
Yeah, like you're not guaranteed to see that, because I think I read somewhere that like they were like on average like less than 30 times a year, but like that's still like more often than you would like I said, more often than the Aurora incident.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So like I said, there are viewing platforms and lots of there are lots of tours that actually will take you from your hotel out to this like designated Martha Mystery Lights viewing platform. And it is just kind of like this place that they've built off the side of the highway where you can park your car and then go and there are like, I think there are like telescopes and stuff so you can see further into the distance.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So like you can actually go and it is a real tourist attraction. And there's even a Marfa Lights festival annually with a parade and street food.
Okay.
So like
right. Okay, amazing.
Yeah, the town is really like it's like the town, like I said, like on the town website itself, they said like this is the reason to come to Marfa is to see these lights.
They've Roswelled themselves basically, like they've made it their town identity.
Yes, except it's a little bit more difficult, I think, for Marfa, because in Roswell you can at least like put like, you know, the gray aliens and the spaceship kind of saucer shape and all that, but here, you know, you just have lights. so you're just like, yeah, you have to build a mystique around something you can't really represent very well.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, and it was said that James Dean was so fascinated by the lights when he was filming Giant in Marfa that he had a telescope reportedly in his hotel room to nightly look upon in the direction of to try and catch them.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
James Dean, as we know, also one of the coolest motherfuckers around.
Oh, he created that like 50s slick back hair kind of like bad boy vibe.
Yeah, he was a pretty cool dude.
On NBCDFW.com, which is a local news site coming out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, they say like they interviewed a Texas State engineering professor who attributes most of the occurrences to car lights, unfortunately. But I've got some other theories, so don't distress just yet at these being just car lights. So some other theories include natural gases that are catching fire.
Swamp gas.
It's like desert gas, which is weird to me.
Okay.
Which you can kind of... Oh, I forgot to mention, by the way, this is important. There's a whole website devoted just to pictures of the Marfa lights.
Okay, brilliant. I love this.
Yeah, so you can go on and like view people's submitted photos of the lights. And some of them do look like what would happen if there was like gasoline in the air and you lit a flame next to it. It does kind of look like that, like a ball, like almost like a comet, some of them. And then some of them are just like floating orbs of light. My other ones are like we have car headlights, lights from a nearby army base, because there is a Marfa kind of army base out in that area.
Of course there are. There's no airports, but there's an army base.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And then, like, campfires. But then my favorite would be shape-shifting witches.
I'm so glad you saved that one till the
end. I didn't bury the lead there.
No.
Yeah, so there is a theory that there are kind of like traditional Mexican folklore like shape-shifting witches, but then there's also, I read some accounts of some people think it's the spirits of lost conquistadors.
Oh, that's really one, like, that's a strong different direction to go in.
Yes, exactly. So like there are some supernatural non-alien ideas, but they're a bit scattered.
Mm-hmm. I'm digging the shape-shifting witches, to be honest with you.
I mean, that would be the coolest thing, and it would fit in better with our other cases that I'm going to discuss.
Excellent. Okay.
But I'm leaning toward if we're going supernatural, I'm leaning toward UFOs.
Yeah, I'm leaning into the UFO side of things as well.
Oh, yeah. So there was a NASA aerospace engineer named James Bunnell who grew up in the area. So he went to Marfa High. He is very much local. He spent 12 years setting up 10 wide spectrum and infrared cameras on neighboring ranches. However, he has found no pattern to the lights, which only leads to their mystery, because you think if there was a scientific explanation, there would be some kind of pattern to them.
Yeah, I'd assume if it's that kind of exploding gas, whatever they were talking about, that they'd be able to pretty clearly see that it's following the same patterns of like gas exploding each time.
Yeah, you'd think so, right?
I would assume so with my arts and my arts degree, that's how it works.
Both of our very, very scientific degree background we have.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've been featured on, like, so I found a travel column on the BBC about the famous Texas ghost lights. So there's lots of anecdotal evidence of like an 80-year-old named Ari West, which is very cute. Whose family helped settle Marfa in the 1880s. Says, "I hope they never find out what's out there, but my parents and grandparents saw the lights. Mysteries make life interesting." And I think that's some wise words from Ari there.
That's really cool. I like that. Keeping the mystery alive.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a really if you look at the pictures, they are very, very different colors. They do look really unnatural. And so some people have been saying like, oh, they were like a Texas version of the will-o'-the-wisp.
That's what I was thinking of when you initially were talking about it.
Yeah, so some people were saying it was something like that. Other people were saying no, it's some kind of alien thing. But again, they are just lights. And we have no idea. There's been no solid scientific explanation that I could find, other than most people saying like, oh, it's just reflections of headlights and all that. But I think that kind of takes away some of the charm.
It does. I agree. I like a bit more wonder in life than headlights.
Yeah. So you can go there, you can look at Donald Judd, by the way, was the name of the artist and quote major minimalist who moved from New York City, and he created more than 100 pieces, or filled sheds with more than 100 pieces of art and scattered 15 giant concrete box art installations in a lonely pasture. And if you look at pictures, they are, like, it is kind of creepy. Like, just seeing this, like, concrete box Prada shop in the middle of, like, on a road in the middle of nowhere. It's like you go in there and it would be a high-fashion Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
I do kind of love that he's done that to the town, but I also kind of hate that he's done it.
Yeah. It's
really interesting.
I'll have to I'll send you the picture, and maybe I'll find one to post on our Instagram.
Oh yeah, that would be cool actually.
Yeah, just because it is really weird. But so that's kind of the story of the Marfa lights. Cynics will tell you it's just atmospheric reflections of cars and campfires, and the mystics will tell you that's hooey, according to the Marfa, visit marfa.com. They'll ask questions like, what roads, which campfires, and the truth is, we just don't know.
Yeah, as I said, I'm happy with a bit of mystery being kept up with this one.
And there is such a big thing for Marfa that you'd see here on certain, like in Ireland, on certain buildings, like where somebody famous lived, it'll say like, oh, like James Joyce lived here from 19 whatever the fuck to whatever. Well, like Texas has those as well on heritage sites, and there is like its own like big placard that says like Marfa lights, like this is the sign of the mysterious Marfa lights.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it.
So,
yeah.
So they are, and like I said, there's the Marfa Lights Festival every year, and I think we should absolutely go if we get the chance, even though it would be a hellacious drive in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, but you know, I'm fine with that. It'd be pretty cool, like, to go to somewhere like that, pretty remote as well, and just kind of experience it all.
Yeah, absolutely, and just get and like you said, like, you can view the art, you can get oat milk and then a steak, and then you can go see some like potential shape-shifting witches.
It's such a modern 2023 city.
Oh yeah, in a way it really is, which is very interesting. But
ahead of its time, you might say.
Both ahead and behind.
Yeah.
It's everywhere but the present. So that's the story of Marfa, but I actually have two other Texas ghostlight stories that I think are pretty interesting. So this one we're going to go all the way toward just about 25 miles outside my hometown of Abilene. And this is the first kind of local ghost story that I remember hearing growing up of like the area. And these are called the Anson Lights. So there's a place called Anson.
I've heard of these.
You've heard of these? Oh, fantastic. So these are in some ways more, well, I say they're more spooky because in my opinion, UFOs are less spooky than ghosts.
That is a controversial statement.
I know. I've said something controversial yet brave, but I'm just gonna say, like, I am more scared of like the supernatural, ghosts, demons, that kind of thing, than I am of UFOs.
Okay. Well, you know, you've drawn your line in the sand, and I respect that.
But you're not joining me.
Well, you know, you're entitled to your opinion, even if it's wrong.
Of course. Well, I'll tell you a little bit about the Anson Lights. So, there's a whole article on it in Texas Monthly, which is a great magazine if you've ever like get a chance. It's got some really interesting kind of culture and local pieces around Texas. And so I've got my sources from there, from the stories that I grew up, and also on TexasHauntedHouses.com. Which is great.
That's all I need to know.
So the Texas Haunted Houses one is short and it gets straight to the point. So it's going to tell you where to find these lights. So these lights can be found sometimes by turning right at Allsup's, which is like a 7-Eleven, toward the graveyard just outside of town. You then have to make a right turn down a dirt road that travels along the cemetery. Then, once you're at the crossroads, turn the car around so it is facing the main road. Turn off the engines and flash the headlights 3 times. So there's a whole kind of ritual to how you see these lights. Whereas in Marfa, you just kind of show up and they're there. These you have to kind of summon. It's rumored that after a few minutes, a light will slowly begin to travel down the road towards your car. It sometimes is said to sway or change color, and only happens on clear nights in warm weather. Legend says that the lights are of a ghost of an 1800s woman who lived nearby with her 3 boys. She sent them out to chop wood, telling them to flash the lantern 3 times if they had trouble. When she saw the 3 flashes, she ran to them, but was too late and the boys had been murdered. Now the flashing of the headlights 3 times is believed to bring her spirit, hoping to find her boys.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Right. So, what were they? Who were they murdered by? Do we know?
It gives me no information.
Irrelevant.
Well, in that part of Texas, in the late 19th century, like my husband and I are watching the show 1883, I think, which is kind of a prequel to the show Yellowstone.
Yep.
And people are just getting killed for no reason.
Okay, fair enough. So we don't need to know the reason why these boys were killed. They were just killed. They were just killed by something. I mean, it could have been coyotes for all we know. But it was something. So this woman, even in death, is being tortured by random people coming up and flashing their lights 3 times. Right. She's like these assholes keep pulling up, making me think my boys are there. It's just rude because they never are. Love it. Amazing. But I think it's so creepy, the idea that you're sitting in a car and a light starts floating toward you, because the Marfa lights stay quite a distance away and just kind of dance along the horizon. Whereas this one starts walking toward you. That is pretty spooky, actually, when you put it like that. And it's interesting as well that there's that whole kind of ritual around it as well. It's almost it's like a summoning sort of ritual or something. Yeah, it's very borderline demonic. All they're sort of doing is being like, and now you need to just get your favorite Sharpie out and draw a pentagram on the boot of your car. Light candles on each of the points. One of your colleagues that are with you, their eyes will turn into the back of their head and they'll start speaking in tongues that you don't understand. That's totally fine. It's all part of the process. It's just a haha funny moment. So, and again, Anson itself as a city is kind of trying to maybe start marketing the lights like Marfa's done, because it's a town where 10,000 cars drive through Anson every day, because it's kind of a commuter town to Abilene. It's only about 25 miles outside of Abilene. Cool. Okay, so it's got quite a large population that moves through it every day. Yes, so the mayor said the trick is getting them to stop. I respect that. He said that for a long time people were embarrassed by the Anson lights, but they're seeing what happened with Marfa, and they're thinking about somehow making it more of a thing. Okay, cool. Yeah, they're trying to whore out the lights basically. Yeah. So I respect it. They got to do what they got to do. This is 2023. You got to hustle. Oh yeah, because Anson would be a very small town, so it would need, and it doesn't really have a lot going for it. At least, okay, I don't mean to offend anyone who might be listening from Anson. You might have a rich history I don't know about, which is probably true. But get your shit together, Anson. But maybe you should just market it a little better. Yeah. Have you thought about trying, Anson? Have you thought about trying? Jesus. So they interviewed some really interesting people, in this article from Texas Monthly, Woodrow Simmons, who was an 81-year-old former police chief, sheriff, and investigator who has lived in Anson his entire life. My God, that is quite the name and quite the CV. Yeah. So since except for 3 years he spent in the Army Air Corps during World War II, that was the only time he wasn't in Anson. So he's Chief Simmons. Yep, and that since the 1930s, his family has owned the land at the southeast corner of the crossroads, which is kind of where you need to do this ritual, which he calls the beer drinking corner.
And he says, kids have been coming out there for years.
I love this man.
Yeah, he says every now and again he has to end up repairing a section of the fence because the kids accidentally drive off the road who come to see the lights.
Damn kids.
Yep. Up on his beer drinking corner.
The man just wants to drink beer in peace. You know, he just wants to go out with his Bud Light, just crack a few, drink some beer, just look at some lights.
Exactly. And so they were saying, like the reporter ate with the person he was interviewing, I think it was the mayor, he had eaten dinner at Peacock's Mesquite Grill over plates of fried catfish. They shared this story, and I just thought, it made me so homesick.
That is so Texan, plates of fried catfish.
And delicious. I have not had catfish in years.
Amazing. I don't really associate Texas with catfish, though. I associate Texas with beef, but, you know, there's my ignorance.
Well, catfish is kind of the only thing that lives in the waters around there because they're like muddy bottom feeders. So they like the kind of shallow, muddy bottoms that the Texas waterways have.
Fair enough. I know a few muddy bottom feeders myself.
Have you ever heard of noodling?
I have heard of noodling. It's something that both intrigues and terrifies me.
As it should, going in barehanded to catch a catfish.
Yeah, it's the most southern thing I can think of for the States.
So that's the I'm trying to go through my notes that they have. Again, they're saying that like it's car headlights. It's like a reflection off the road, like the paint on the road and all that. I like to think that it would be interesting to like. It's more interesting to leave it a mystery than try and like scientifically figure out what's going on.
Yeah. You know, I agree. Very similar to Marfa, and even I suppose with the Aurora kind of townspeople of Aurora as well, kind of saying like you don't need to know what this is.
Yeah, exactly.
Keeps the mystery alive.
Exactly. So some people have taken video cameras out there to try and record it. And when they get home, it hasn't picked up on film, even though they saw it, which I think is super creepy.
Yeah, you know, you can't be expecting, you know, this mother to put on a show for everyone, you know, and appear on camera like this. That's not how it works, you know.
No,
you got to see that shit with your eyes.
Exactly. So that's the story of the Anson Lights. So we've got potentially either UFOs or shape-shifting witches out in Marfa. We've got the soul, like the unrested spirit of a wronged mother in Anson. And now I want to take us to Southeast Texas. So we're in a very different. So Anson was kind of in Central West Texas, so a little less desert than Marfa, a little bit more rolling hills. Now we're in Saratoga, Texas, which is in the Southeast. And it's close. It's fairly close to like Beaumont and Houston area, so not too far from the Gulf of Mexico. So things there are humid, lots of lush like trees and things, but it's still this place is pretty rural. Okay. Again, we have the commonalities between the three places, and there's even a sign of how. So let me explain how to get to these lights in Saratoga because it's a bit of a trip. So this is from atlasobscura.com, which is actually a really cool website with.
Love Atlas Obscura.
Exactly. So I think we'll probably end up getting some stories from Atlas Obscura as we go along. But this is an 8-mile stretch of road that it's called the Ghost Road Scenic Drive officially. That is its official name.
Okay, go on.
So yeah, so it's so there's a sign at each end of and it's a dirt road in the middle of the forest, like a foresty area, and it says each sign says Ghost Road Scenic Drive, Hardin County Park, 8-mile drive, and then gives you a little bit of the history of the local towns. The area used to be the site of a former railroad that connected the boomtown of Bragg, which is now a ghost town, to the still surviving community of Saratoga. Now, so Saratoga's still there, Bragg not there anymore. The railroad not there anymore. It's just a dirt road.
Oh.
But it's important to note that because there was a railroad, there was an accident on that railroad when it was being built.
Of course.
So a lost soul who was killed during like an accident on building the railroad is eternally searching, swinging his ancient carbide lamp through the swamp, continually retracing the steps to which he died on this 8-mile road. And that's the light that you're supposed to see.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Do we know anything about this railroad worker?
No, there's absolutely no evidence.
Irrelevant again. I'm not asking the right questions.
There was a railroad. It was life in the old west. People were dying left, right, and center. I'm sure somebody died because of this. So,
I'm trying to give this guy an identity.
Yeah, we're trying to give him some kind of persona.
Trying to give him his voice.
Yeah, so what you're supposed to do is, so for the best chance of seeing the lights, you're supposed to drive slowly or park 1 or 2 miles from the intersection of FM 783, facing the intersection. It says lights are more active in the early evening, and it does note that for safety's sake, the road is wide enough to admit 2 cars and has several small turnouts. However, be vigilant for passing cars, especially in the dark, and that the road is dirt and can be very muddy after rain.
Oh, okay. That's some good safety advice.
Yeah, exactly. So it's telling you the spookies, but also...
Yeah, don't make yourself another light to join this dude.
Oh my god, it's like little hobbitsies go down and make lights of their own.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's supposed to be just like a bobbing light as if someone were walking with a lantern.
Oh yeah, okay.
And it's just supposed to go up and down the road. There isn't, unlike Anson, there isn't this kind of thing where you have to go out and like summon some poor woman's spirit.
Yeah, you're just watching this dude on his walk, basically.
Yeah, basically. So I had like the least information on these Saratoga lights because they are a thing, but I don't think that the town of Saratoga, I think they've got other things going on.
Fair. That's more than fair. You know, they don't have time for otherworldly problems at the moment.
No, and I actually find the Saratoga lights a little less creepy than the Anson lights.
I don't know why, but I find this one like sadder than the Anson lights, even though the Anson lights like should be sadder, like the context of them.
Yeah, no, it's just like this one lonely old soul walking up and down the road at night. Like it's just a bit sadder. Whereas like the fact that I have to go to a 3-way intersection, turn my car around, flash my lights 3 times and watch a light like appear and come toward me. Like that's, I think, okay, so what do those ghost hunter shows always say? Like there's like active hauntings and then like residual hauntings. And so like, I think the Anson one is like an active haunting that's responding to external stimuli. And then the Saratoga is just like a residual haunting that's just happening whether you're there or not.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you know, as I said, you're just viewing this more than anything else, which I don't know. For some reason, I just find it really sad.
Yeah. So those are my 3 stories of the Texas ghost lights. And like there are other instances of ghost lights kind of all across the country. I know like even you mentioned to me the Brown Mountain lights. Yeah. In North Carolina, which obviously have their own kind of long history, which maybe we can get into in another episode.
For sure.
But yeah, so that's a brief history of ghost lights in Texas, and I think that I'm going with Marfa's UFOs, Anson's sad ghost lady, and then Saratoga is sad railroad worker.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on all 3 of those. The UFO side of things, I think UFOs would be attracted to a town that's as weird as Marfa by the sound of things. Yeah,
100%.
When you've got some like, you know, just really strange hipsters out there gentrifying the area and the history that they've had up to that point as well, it makes total sense that the aliens would be like, what the fuck is going on here?
They'd be like, I'm just really confused.
Yeah, it's literally like a zoo exhibit for them. The shape-shifting witches, I do love that theory, but I think it's realistically more so to do with UFOs. In my opinion.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Yeah, and then I'd agree with you then for Anson. It's sad. You know, this woman is clearly kind of like La Llorona, just trying to find her kids.
But then you're kind of the asshole because you're the one that's like flashing 3 lights, making her think it's her sons.
Sure, yeah. This is kind of close as well to the La Llorona kind of happenings as well, isn't it? Like you were saying it's pretty close to like the Mexico border and that whole kind of...
Well, no, because so Anson would be 25 miles outside of Abilene.
Right, okay.
Which is, so Marfa would be 50 miles, I think, from the U.S.-Mexico border.
Right, okay. There's my ignorance shown through with my Texas geography.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, and then the Saratoga ones, yeah. As I said, I can't help but feel just really sad for this lonely dude just walking up and down the tracks.
Yeah.
That's a sad one, you know.
It is.
Just walking with his lamp, just trying to find his way.
So yeah, that's me. That's me done. I think we've closed the cases on all these.
Yeah.
We're going with they're all real.
Yeah, of course. they are all real.
I think we have to. We're like running this podcast. We have to go with the side of. Yeah. If there's any question, we have to err on the side of it's spooky.
And we've also established, you know, other things today, like lines being drawn in the sand where both of us stand, and unfortunately we're on either side of that line. So
I mean, I'm sorry, UFOs are just not as spooky as ghosts.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well.
And then we get into our first on-air fight. No.
Look, this is why it works. I'm the UFO guy, and you're all other things spooky, so that's fine. This works.
It's true.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, though, you'd probably change your opinion if a UFO came down and abducted you. Just saying.
Well, if I were being probed, I wouldn't think this is spooky. I would think this is horrible. There's a difference.
You'd be like, God, it's so spooky.
Yeah.
I'm so spooked right now.
And on that note, I think we're going to wrap up for this week.
Yeah, that was a fun case. Thank you for presenting these 3 super interesting cases, Suz. I really enjoyed it.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll be sure and reach out to us on social media. We're on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the details in the description of the show, and we'd love to hear from you. And like this proves, if you give us a suggestion, we will explore it.
We will shell for you.
We're not above it.
Yeah, we're not above anything.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye, guys.
Bye.